Have you ever considered that entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey? It really is. And as women of faith, sometimes stepping out in front of the crowd, stepping out into clear fields with no one else around you, asking for what you want, and being obvious about wanting to grow your wealth can really cause some mindset issues and make you feel really stuck. And so today's guest is going to shed some light on this. She's been an amazing impact on my life just recently. She speaks right to my heart. So today's guest, Jayna Butler, or Jay as she goes by, is the Principal Strategic Business and Leadership Advisor of Elocin Consulting. This is a company that she started in the middle of the pandemic and grew it to multi six figures within 11 months. She has a long history in talent acquisition and entrepreneurship. She's so wise. And now she focuses on helping women grow their business, but it's also spiritually, mentally, and professionally. She equips women with skills to be leaders in their field. I know you're going to be blessed by this. So without further ado, let's go. Well, hey, Jay. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to be talking with you today on the Light Her Way podcast. For my listeners, let me just tell you that I've been following her actually for not too long, but I instantly fell in love with her. She is my, my mentor from afar, and she speaks truth like no one else I know. And I know she's going to bless you today with what she has to share about our topic of being a Christian woman in leadership and in business. This is a deep topic. We could go long, but we'll try to keep it to the point. But let's just start with Jay, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Introduce yourself to our audience. How did you get to be where you are today?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Robin. And thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. Yeah, so definitely I've been in coaching for almost 6, 7 years, as far as like from a leadership standpoint. But of course, many people, especially in the coaching industry, we came from some type of leadership or management, some type of way. But my career has definitely been rooted in HR.
Mhm.
So human resources, talent acquisition, recruiting, staffing, really more so working on projects and working with, hiring amazing talent for companies and organizations, Fortune 500 companies, United Airlines, for example, Comcast, Impellam, Bureau Veritas, oil and gas companies, etc. So one of the things that kind of got me to where I am today is basically corporate for me was just really like tight for me. It really made me feel tight in my body. I just had this thing of, telling me what to do with my time, telling me what to do with my paycheck. Like, just the systematic hierarchy, rulership, and, domination over my time and my space and energy. But I knew that that was just a byproduct of what we were taught. So entrepreneurship has always been kind of like this inner calling for me. And I knew that God wanted me to have this expanded view of who He was to me, as well as how we saw our human experience. So I've always been kind of a skill driven type of person. So one of the things that I knew how to do was build businesses, just because that was a background of mine in helping small firms and projects and things like that, systems implementation. So um, to kind of make a long story short, in 2020, pandemic hit, and I was a talent acquisition leader for a local bank, and I was already like done with it. I was like, I'm so over this role. But of course, I was a high performer, so I don't know how to do anything but achieve. So, um, so when I got
Enneagram
the
3, right?
exactly. And so when I got the word that my position was going to be eliminated, I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I'm totally done. First of all, I'm free. Thank you. But it's time for me to just kind of really just take this thing very seriously. So I opened Ellison Consulting, which is in the namesake of my daughter. People say, where do you get Ellison from? My daughter's middle name backwards. So it's Nicole Switcheroo. So coaching and consulting, what we did, grew a practice to multi six figures in 11 months. went through a season of burnout, and then now I'm back, which I'm very excited about. And just really helping women with shifting the way that they see their clientele and shifting how they see themselves in the marketplace, even with things that are going on right now, leading in her authority, helping her with her client delivery management methods. And definitely, of course, I always believe in growth, then scale. So that's why I'm here, and I'm just enjoying the
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah, and I think we were in a women's entrepreneurship group, and you offered a free challenge, and I got so much out of that and got into your group just asking those hard questions. And I love that with your background. I've told you this, offline before the show. My husband is HR talent acquisition person as
Yes.
well, been doing it for a very long time, and he's been telling me all the things. Some of the things that you've shared with me, but it's from him. So I'm just kind of like, well, when you say it, I'm just like, oh, yes, that's the answer. So he's like,
This is usually
every,
how it works.
yeah, every time I say, well, Jay said, he was like, I told you that first. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. I heard it now, and I am set free. So I'm so glad that we get to have this conversation today. And faith is a big part of this, right? You talk about how it's a spiritual journey. Business is a spiritual journey, but a lot of our listeners are of the faith, and being Christian, being a leader, being in business, it can be really complicated in your mindset. And I know for me, I had to work through the program that I worked with you. I had to work through my mindset about that, about speaking up for myself, about speaking the truth and not being afraid of what people would say, and asking for what I want. That is not always
Mhm.
easy for us, maybe partly because as just women, that might be how we were raised, but also, when you grow up in the church, we might have learned that we're not supposed to show up too much, right?
Mhm. Yeah, what is it called? Seen and not heard kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, so what do you see as the number one issue with the women that you work with, trying to balance that?
It's so interesting, Robin, even in my practice, I tend to attract faith-based women.
Mhm.
And it's not even really in my messaging per se, but I think it's in the way that I project myself because I
Mhm.
definitely grew up in the church. So I empathize with a lot of women who um, felt, they knew faith, but to be in faith, to
Mhm.
actually walk by faith is something that's completely different. And you really, really get that lesson, if you will, when you are in entrepreneurship, because it really does train you to say, you know what, God, day by day, this is truly a walk. And it is the one place where you don't know where your next check is going to come from. You don't know where your next invoice is going to get paid. You may have a
Mhm.
client to drop out, or you may have a refund request or something like that. Thank God, you want to keep that as low as possible, but you never know what's going to happen from a day-to-day basis. So I think one of the biggest things about women in the church, in the Christian faith-based arena, is the fact that when it really does come down to stepping out and actually trusting God, for look, I say for real, it's really going to come from a place of extreme prayer, right? And action,
Mhm.
creating and doing it from love. I will never forget, every time I have this ego flesh come rising up in me, and I was like, God, I'm just tired, da, 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 da. And God be like, so we through doing things in love. Are we done with that? And every single time, I promise you, Robin, it's literally like clockwork. God will remind me of doing it in love, doing something in love. Yes, you have boundaries. Yes, you have those things set in place and policies and procedures, but at the same time, you have to do what you do in love, and you got to continue to show up. So, but the thing is that with Christian women, it really is all about like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm all about myself. I don't want people to think that I am I'm vain, or if I show
Mhm.
up too much, then people are going to think that it's all about me. Actually, it's the antithesis. It's literally, it's selfish for you not to show up. It's selfish for you not to offer your program or your service. And it's definitely, you have to think about the fact that yes, I want to give it away for free, and it's, I want to help people, but you really do have to understand that it still is an exchange.
Yeah.
It's an exchange, because the thing is that you want people to be successful with what you are offering.
Yeah.
And everybody who, you give it to for free may not really appreciate what you are offering. So it's
Yeah.
really more so about a mindset shift for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, you just, every post you make, every live you do, I just like, you are speaking like right to me 100%. And I love how you say like, give God something big to do.
Hmm.
I mean, like you said, we talk about our faith, but we live so small. Don't want to cross the line. Don't want to risk too much. Don't, like you said, don't want to be seen as vain or looking out for myself. Or, if God is going to give it to me, then I'm just going to sit here and wait for it. And like, there was a post I made today that says that God feeds the birds, but He doesn't throw it in the nest.
I
You got to
love
get out
that.
of the nest. You have to go take action. Faith without
Mhm.
action, right? We have to move forward. And I think a huge part of that is surrounding yourself with a community of like-minded business people or whatever to support you.
Mhm.
Being by yourself, which I found by myself, I have a few close, peer coaches, I guess you could say, biz buddies. But when I started meeting more women that were in the same space, I'm like, oh, there's so much, what do you call it, synchronicity, so much more
Mhm.
power. I'm like, oh, this is what I like. You don't want to do it alone, you
No,
know?
mm-mm. You need to surround yourself, and I really have to make this very clear, because I think sometimes Christian based women, we tend to have, I want to surround myself with all the but when you're doing something that is a higher dimension,
Hmm.
where wealth is involved, you have to remember, like, even I look at Jesus, right? Jesus spent a lot of time by himself. People fail to realize that, because he recognized that a lot of people did not think at that level that he did and didn't operate. He had a huge mandate on his life, and a lot of times he had to go away by himself to pray. And when you are shifting from who you used to be, and you
Yeah.
literally have to make a decision to shift into another person, even if you don't feel it yet, in order to get this work in and to get this work done and to attract the people you're supposed to attract, then what's going to happen is that you're going to stay stagnant, even around people that you think mean well, because of conditioning and programming that, okay, we're going to talk about, oh, we don't have any money this month, or, or even if you don't have it, I tell people, go and sit at a five-star restaurant. I don't care if you have to eat bread and water, lemon water. Be around a different type of look, a sense of urgency, for goodness sake. People around you that are talking about things that are kind of up level and you can learn more from. But this is how you take this information, right? You apply the information, people pay you for that information, and then you can take that profit, you can take those earnings and actually go and bless people.
Yeah. That was one of the things I really loved, that you talked about recently, about how, we want to, be generous, we want to be kind, we want to do all these good things, we want to help people who, if and let's be honest, we offer high ticket packages, right? And
Mhm.
because it's worth it. And we feel bad when there's people that we really want to serve but they can't afford it. And you help me see that, yeah, but you can use what you earn from those who can afford it to offer something or to help those who can't. You have to get that revenue first, that income
Yeah.
first. It's a wealth principle, and sometimes we just don't realize that until somebody like you comes and knocks knocks you on the
And I looked up the definition of generous, and it's basically a readiness to give more of something as money or time than is strictly necessary or expected, in showing kindness. So I tell people, some of us are too kind to be broke. We are
Mhm.
too sweet and too giving to have a poverty mindset. I one of the and this is, I hope nobody takes offense to this, but sometimes I get very annoyed when I see people with a poverty mindset that's even struggling to take care of their own family start nonprofits.
Hmm.
Why? When that could be a subset of a company that you start so that you can produce revenue to to help your family, and then
Yeah.
you start a nonprofit later, because at that point, that's I'm getting excited now, is that when you start to offer high ticket services, when you start to produce and grow your audience, what happens is that you start to network, you get comfortable with sales, you get
Yeah.
comfortable with networking and connecting, so that when you have something like a nonprofit, you can actually go and ask heavy hitters and it doesn't seem like anxiety
Yeah.
because you know how to do it. It's a skill set that you have embodied and mastered. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like sales.
Exactly. 100%. I mean, sales is really about a mindset. It's about that
Mhm.
mindset. And I think it was you that said, we need to operate from not where we are right now, but from where we're going. Our actions need to be like in that space of where we're going. So, but what happens is, I mean, I've been stuck there. I mean, like I said, it's been a tough couple of years, but then I found you. Like literally, you have no idea how much you just watching you on social and being in your group and all that really just like kicked me out of the nest. I really
Mhm.
needed it, and but how we could just spin in that and spin in that, and that's what you need, is somebody to stop that cycle and help you see like, wait, you are operating in this little puddle, and there's a
Mhm.
whole ocean out there. Like, get out into the ocean, start swimming. Don't worry about if there's not a lot of people around you. Like, you want clear blue ocean, right? You want that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to say too is that I think sometimes the reason why we are stuck in our little nest or in a little small circle and don't want to really get out because we're so used to people telling us how amazing we are.
Mm.
We're so used to people telling us how great of a person we are. Oh my gosh, Jay is such a one. Oh, she can get it done. Robin can get that done. Robin has done
Yeah.
this. So now when you're going into business, you have to hear no. You have to hear that's too expensive. I can't afford that. I've already invested so much money in other coaches and da 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 da, and I didn't get the result. I don't really want this. Being left on red, being abandoned, no shows on sales calls, like stuff like that makes us feel like, okay, I am so used to being told that I am all that in a bag of chips and that
Hmm.
I'm such a service. See, that's all like humility is required. So people
Yes.
talk about humility and humble. Oh, be humble. No, humility is really required when you are first starting out. And always saying that first 200K, that's when you're building and growing your audience. And that's when you're really learning about yourself and how to manage self and understand people. You're in the people business.
Yeah. It's true.
Mhm.
And like you said, we transform too as we continue to grow, our business grows. And you were talking about like moving into this new level.
Mhm.
And and that it just so describes where I've been too. It's like when as you evolve and you start, you know, just your being and what you believe in and what your messaging is, it evolves. And then you realize like all that stuff that I was so comfortable with, it's not,
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable there anymore. But it's that transition, right? And
Mhm.
for every new beginning there has to be an end,
Yes.
right? There has to be an end. So, so then you start looking back at like, there's going to be some ties I'm going to have to cut, some things I'm going to have to stop doing, maybe even some groups or whatever that I can't be a part of anymore because it's a distraction. It's not calling me higher. And that can feel a little bit scary,
Mhm.
but we know, and that's where there's that incongruency, that struggle inside, that like you're not where you want to be but you're afraid to go where you need to go. And you
Right.
just have to do it. You just have to decide and commit and take some kind of action. Just do something, just get started.
And you know what? When we don't, I heard this from a woman that I heard speak a while ago, and she said that when I don't have enough information, it's easier for me to be emotional about it. So
Mm,
the less you know about a thing, the more emotional you are about it.
mm,
So for example, when you say take action, People become nervous about acting because they don't know what is required to act, which is why you invest in skill. You
Mhm.
don't invest in just how to do a website or how to create an offer. There's so many ways to create an offer. Heck, I can show you how to create an offer, but what you need is skill. And sales is a skill. And sales is probably the one area where nobody wants to invest in because that takes you actually stepping out into the unknown and meeting people at the front line.
100%, 100%.
100%. And that's a wealth building skill set.
Mhm. So, speaking of which, I think you have some new things on the horizon to share, right? Can you tell us like how we can develop those skills and
Yes, yes. So I'm really big on helping women with the mindset to shift into treating their business like a business. And of course, one of those biggest skill sets is sales.
Mm.
So we do have the Elocin Elite VIP membership that will be rolling out very soon. And it is going to be amazing. So it's a membership where you can cancel anytime, but you're coming to get a wealth of knowledge about sales, creating offers, even how to manage your clientele if you have any. And I also have a one-on-one program called the Ascended CEO, which is basically the type of CEO that thinks way beyond the status quo. This woman wants to scale down her offers, simplify her services so that she can skip over and just launch into $20,000 months plus. So yeah, that's how you can get in touch with me. Of course, I'm on Facebook, Instagram at I am Jai Butler. And yeah, that's how you can get in touch with me.
and LinkedIn too. You're on
And
LinkedIn as
LinkedIn,
well.
Jayna, yeah.
We were both, I was like, you know what? I need to start getting on LinkedIn. I need to start
Yes,
connecting over there and networking.
absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Well, it has been such a pleasure talking with you. I just, yeah, I need your energy. You are
Yes, yes.
amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining. And I will put the links for all your contact info and how to sign up and join your coaching, your group, or your skills training. And yeah, it's wonderful. So thank you so much. And I hope you have an awesome rest of the day.
You too.